Add 200 grams of fresh or frozen blueberries and around 300 grams of fresh or frozen blackberries to a saucepan. This was a surprise strawberry that my daughter had put in the bowl of blackberries when we were picking them. Pleasant surprise, as I got to eat it while I was making breakfast. I rinsed the top layer of blackberries before, which removed a lot of the dried petals and bits and pieces, but it hadn't quite rinsed everything from the next layer down, so I had to go and rinse that off again. Now that your blackberries and blueberries are in a saucepan, add around 4 tablespoons of water and put that onto a stovetop on medium heat. Stir it regularly to make sure that everything is cooking evenly and to make sure that it isn't catching or thickening too quickly. I also added a dash of vanilla essence and around 50 grams of sugar. You're aiming for a syrupy consistency, something between maple syrup and honey texture. Now to make the pancakes. For 4 people, I use 1 cup of self-raising flour, 37 grams of butter which you melt in the microwave, you beat up 1 egg, and you measure out 3/4 of a cup of full cream milk. I like to use salted butter, and around 30 seconds in the microwave on high usually melts it. Whisk your flour, add your milk, add the egg, add some vanilla and a bit of salt, whisk it around super fast. Once that's all combined, add in your melted butter and whisk that until everything is combined. By now the berries should be bubbling and falling apart. I like to use a potato masher to squash everything up and extract as much juice out of the berries as possible. Transfer that to a sieve and then scrape the contents through the sieve, leaving behind any of the seed and skins and stalks and anything else that's got in there. Scraping everything through the sieve does take some time and effort, but it's worth it because you're left then with a silky smooth syrup to go on your pancakes and you don't have thousands of seeds to deal with. Once you've removed the seeds from the center part of the sieve, remember to scrape down the outer edges of the sieve into your syrup because there's a lot of good juice and pulp still left on there. Give it a mix through and leave it to cool on the bench while you cook your pancakes. You can see that when you transfer some of the liquid onto a cold spoon that it doesn't run like water, it's like a runny jam. Essentially it's meant to take the place of maple syrup in these pancakes. Also a good opportunity for another taste test. I think with this one I really managed to get the balance of sweet and tart just right. And there's a really unique blackberry jam flavour that really you can only get from blackberry jam. I like to use 2 frying pans which I've preheated to medium heat, and I like to cook 4 mini pancakes in each pan. Put some butter into each pan, and I just use a paper towel, fold it over a few times to wipe that around and give a thin coating of butter across the pan. I use a dessert spoon to take a spoonful of the mixture and put that in, and usually I find 1 full dessert spoon does the job. You can get some variability in the consistency of this mix depending on the size of your egg or quite how full you make that 3/4 cup of milk. If the mixture is too runny, the pancakes will spread out a lot and won't rise terribly much. You want the mixture to be fairly thick so that when it does rise, it has a more cake-like texture in the middle. Spread out the pancakes and then flip the first ones when you start seeing a few bubbles forming and popping at the surface. Flipping them in such a tight space can be pretty fiddly, and I can't tell you the number of times that I've accidentally flipped the edge of one uncooked pancake onto the other. It's not a total disaster, but it looks messy, so forgive me if I'm a bit slow and shaky here. I didn't want to stuff it up while I was filming it. I got through most of that pan alright, but then almost messed things up on this last one. Just saved it. Flip the next ones and then check the undersides of the first ones you flipped in a short while, and if they look a similar level of brown to the top, then it's time to take them off. I just put the ones that have been cooked around the edge of a large dinner plate while I cook the rest of them. The mixture made enough for 14 pancakes, but it varies from 12 to 16 depending on how small or large you make them and the consistency of the mixture. You'll find that if the mixture is too thin, so are the pancakes, and you'll end up with more of them because they don't take up as much of the mixture. I don't think there's any need or benefit to laying out the pancakes on the edge of the plate like this. It's just something that I've always done. You could probably throw them in a big pile in the middle of the plate and it'd be fine, but this looks nice anyway. The berry sauce should have cooled by now and become a little bit thicker now that it's cooled as well. I don't think I'm necessarily the best at plating up food and making it look pretty, so I left that in the hands of my lovely wife, who I think did an excellent job and made it look really nice. It probably isn't one of the healthiest breakfasts around, but it was very tasty and it was great to be able to use some fresh berries from the garden. The recipe and method are in the descriptions, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing it with somebody else who you think might enjoy it too. Thanks for watching.